Dear Mom, you don't need to come get me anymore. Delete the other video. What Captain Fantastic and I have created here may be something unique in all of human existence. We created a paradise out of the video essay format. Our children shall be overinformed about movies no one cares about anymore. Makes me so indescribably happy. I'm going to get better at releasing videos on time. I know I will. Because we are defined by our actions, not our words.
Hi guys, so I was doing those daily videos for a while, and they weren't very good, were they? Either way, I've more or less found myself back on track for what I decided I was going to do initially with this channel, which is 160 videos over 3 years, so we're going back to weeklies, because they're just better, aren't they? Got a pretty good schedule of videos lined up that I'm pretty happy with and excited to share with you all. But first up, a little while ago, I mentioned that you should all watch Captain Fantastic. The film that I would like you to watch this week, that being Captain Fantastic. So, we're going to talk about that. Now, I first saw the trailer for this movie way back before it was released in 2016. I think it was in the cinema, and I did the classic, like, oh yeah, I'll go and see that, that looks amazing. And anyway, I watched it at the start of this year on Netflix, so didn't go exactly as planned. But when I did see it on Netflix, I had remembered that it was there, and you know, I was then excited to watch it, so I did. I wasn't really sure what to expect going into this movie. If you look at the lead actor and director, they don't give you a lot of clues. Matt Ross directed it. If you want to know what a Matt Ross film looks like, or what his trademarks are, his other one is called 28 Hotel Rooms, and it's literally got about 2 speaking roles, and the whole thing is set inside hotel rooms between these 2 people having an affair. So that didn't give me much to go on. Viggo Mortensen, the lead, has been in everything from Lord of the Rings to A History of Violence. So again, not a fantastic amount of clues there, so what did I expect going into this? I'd seen the trailer ages ago and decided not to watch it again because I didn't want to give myself too much of an inkling as to the story. However, I did read the Netflix synopsis, which is: this father believes strongly in rejecting the status quo, but when ideals falter, will he find his footing? So yeah, told you absolutely nothing. Then I had a little bit of a read of an interview with the director, which gave me a question that he asked which sort of defines the entire film. That being, is Ben the best father in the world, or the worst? Now that was an interesting...
Hi.
Hi.
You were doing videos when you go outside, but you're not doing those videos anymore.
Yeah, no, but we're doing another Tune Tuesday. It should be up this Tuesday, actually. It's actually going to have a track off of the new EP that I'm putting out soon. I will obviously be telling you guys when that does come out, and if you do want to make sure that you hear about that, just make sure that you've clicked subscribe down there.
Okay, well,
anything else?
No, nothing. Bye.
Yeah, good. Off. Hi. So at first glance, you're sort of given to think that this film is just trying to say a lot of the relatively surface level stuff. There's a mantra they repeat a few times, which is power to the people, stick it to the man.
Power to the people.
Stick it to the man.
You know, they're celebrating Noam Chomsky Day, and initially this is all presented as pretty well fine and dandy. Just as a brief aside, I don't think there's anything wrong with Chomsky at all. I quite like Chomsky. Obviously, Matt Ross, the director, having grown up in communes in this sort of environment for a small part of his childhood, did want to present some sort of positive message toward this, and that you totally have got to understand, because at no point in the film are we told that Ben's way of life is completely ridiculous. It's clear that there are good points for it, and that's very important, and especially emphasised towards the initial stages of the film. But ultimately, what we do end up seeing is this lack of cohesion or understanding between the family and the outside world.
Ask her what she thinks of the working people creating an armed revolution against the exploiting classes in their state structures.
And I've got to say, it could be played for laughs quite easily. That would have been a really easy choice to make, but it's actually handled pretty well, I think, for the most part. Bodovan, the oldest son, kind of works as an audience standing for a lot of it, where we initially start idolising Ben, and then towards the middle of the film we really don't agree with him at all, and then we're kind of given to realise that there's a compromise that can be reached towards the middle. And that's really as we experience the outside world, and especially in this case the interaction with a couple of women, primarily through Bodovan's standpoint. Towards the end of the film, his daughter Vesper obviously does get injured, and that comes at a time when really our faith in Ben and his way of life is kind of on a knife edge. Family obviously ends up then going to hospital, where she is treated by someone who bears a shocking resemblance to JD from Scrubs. And this kind of serves as a tipping point, not only for us, but for Ben, and it kind of seems to serve as a catalyst for him realising that maybe the kids staying with their grandparents is a better thing after all, for all concerned. Now, in terms of why this lifestyle worked out so well for Ben but not so well for the kids, in my opinion, the most obvious answer is the fact that he obviously grew up having what I suppose you and I would call a normal life. You know, whereas the kids have been raised in this sort of compound, essentially, for their entire lives. They never had that choice, whereas Ben's got to experience both. Something that pretty explicitly leans towards this is Kayla's analysis of Lolita, which she obviously talks about when they're on the bus together.
Because it's written from his perspective. You sort of understand and sympathize with him, which is kind of amazing because he's essentially a child molester.
Obviously, to compare Ben to a child molester isn't exactly accurate, but it does sort of highlight the fact that potentially, as it's primarily seen from his perspective, the earlier stages of the film, then maybe we are drawn to sympathise with him in a way that perhaps we wouldn't be were we to be presented with a more objective series of events. But I think ultimately what this film is trying to talk about is compromise. The point at which Ben compromises, I think, is where he shaves his beard. This obviously kind of takes him far further away from the woodman sort of look that he had for the majority of the film, and it's nicely mirrored when Bodovan shaves most of his hair off as well, which I think nicely caps off his arc, not only in the transition from boy to man, which sort of culminates in him eventually leaving and going to college, but also the decision that he makes sort of places him on a level with Ben, not only as a father and son relationship, but as just a man-to-man relationship as well. But what you do see in a lot of reviews is people saying, oh, tell you what, this just makes me want to go and live in the woods. That's what I want to do. I've seen this film and I want to go and live in the woods in a commune and read Chomsky. And I'm sorry, but you have drastically missed the point of the film, in my opinion, if that's what you've taken from it. Ultimately, although the final shot of the film does show Ben looking outside, showing that he does still long for that life, I think we all can see that the life that he ends up with the kids in the house and Steve being converted into a little sort of chicken coop is better for everyone. I kind of don't like that the film never addresses the inevitable consequences of the kids running away again. It's one of the sort of few hanging plot threads that I didn't like, although then again, do we need to see that? I think we can just assume from the ending that it all ended up fine. But what I will say is that despite its flaws, having had a deeper look into this film and sort of having read around it a little bit, it's sort of over this process of working out what I thought about it, become really one of my favourite movies, and I can see myself returning to it a whole bunch of times.
Thanks for watching me and my lockdown haircut talk about that film, guys. It's one of the videos I've done the most research for. I'm going to post like the notes that I made for it on my Instagram now, so there's a link to that down below if you did want to go and check those out. Otherwise, yeah, I will see you next week, or maybe tomorrow if I put the June Tuesday video up, which I might not even know I said I would.